I've been thinking a lot about the important role that art has to play in our current society and how art always seems to be put at the bottom of the list when it comes to the world's priorities. And yes, the world does have a lot of problems right now, and I am not insinuating that art solely on its own can solve them, but I do think that the minds behind the art could help us to build a better version of this world. I've just finished reading this book, What Art Does, by Brian Eno, who I'm a huge fan of. And the last chapter in particular really has me thinking about artists' role to play in the future and how creative minds will become more and more valuable when it comes to solving complex problems. I want to read a quick sentence from the last chapter in this book, What Art Does, because it perfectly summarizes what I'm saying, and it just got me thinking and wanting to make this video and chat to you guys about this. Just as we need science to tell us how the world is changing, we need art to help find out how we feel about it. We need those feelings to guide our decisions and values. Science discovers, art digests. These words really stuck out to me, and they made me feel inspired and also proud to be a creative person, and it made me reassess our role in overall society. It also gave me hope for the future, and if I'm being honest, it's been pretty hard lately to feel that way about the future, and this book made me think that creativity and artists will have a huge role to play in the future. With all the advancements we've made over time, I think that human connection and empathy are still so important, and they're hugely lacking. And I think art is something that helps bring about both these things. Art creates conversation, and it brings people together who otherwise might not be in a dialogue. Art creates ground for healthy discussion, and it really begs the question, do we need more art in the world? Or do we need more chances to experience and interact with art? And can this help us to process the world around us and create a better one? The thing about artists is they tend to be more emotional, empathetic types of people. And when they're creating something, they're not necessarily thinking first and foremost about productivity or making money. Yes, that can come into the equation later on, but it normally comes from an inner innate desire or passion to create and to express how you feel about something on paper, through a book, through a song, and share that with the world. All of this adds up to create an output that is full of vulnerability and honesty. And I think that's something that we are really lacking at the moment. When this is put out into the world, it also invites others to be vulnerable and be honest or interact with that work. And it kind of acts to disarm society. I would say that that is exactly what we need right now. There is very little subtlety in any of the messaging that is around to do with politics or climate change, war, any of those really big topics, how we live our lives, cost of living, having children, parenting, how we should structure our societies. People have such big opinions about those things, and they're being blasted at us. And we either feel like we're being attacked, or we feel guilty or confused. And I think art is so much better at opening up avenues for these conversations to be had because they are generally a lot more subtle. Art can do this by nudging at a suggestion of an underlying message through a piece of work. And it also aims to kind of relax people when it's inviting you in. You don't go in a gallery and be expecting to have all of these breakthroughs, but you're just exposed to the work in this very relaxing way. Same when you go to the movies or you buy a book. You are engaging in something that is leisurely. And I think that that's a great way to then bring up these types of heavier topics or messages or ways that you see the world could be better, rather than kind of slamming our opinions down each other's throats all the time and then ending up at odds and not really changing anything at all. The other great thing about art, and a reason that I always enjoyed it as a young person, is because it's not wrong or right. There is no correct way to make art, and there's no correct way to interpret it either. It's very much a back and forth, and art exists obviously when the artist is making it and when they put it out into the world, but it also lives on through others' interpretation of it. And I think that this is what makes it so powerful. The collective reception of art or a piece of artwork can really create change. And it can also incite movements and powerful things that will shape our society in a different way, or at least start a conversation, even if it's just between two people. Art is very fluid, and in our current world where everything is very black or white, I think that art is a welcome retreat from all of that. If we want to tackle the complex problems that the world is going to continue to have, then I think we need to explore the gray areas more. And to me, that's what art is really good at doing. I was doing a little bit of research to see if there was a link between creativity and problem solving. And I was really interested when I stumbled across this article that talked about the relationship between those two things. The article talked about problem finding, which might sound really odd. I mean, do we really need to have more problems in our lives? Aren't we supposed to be focused on problem solving? But the article highlighted that us as creatives are both problem solvers and problem finders. We seek to pay attention to the world and its details and patch everything together to create solutions to problems that society didn't even know they had. The author of this article states, "It's that moment when the lines of a building intersect in a striking way, inspiring a photographer to capture the beauty of the geometry with her camera. It's the catchy phrase that rings with deeper truth on which a writer constructs a short story or poem. It's Paul McCartney waking up from a dream with the melody for Yesterday playing, fully realized in his mind." We didn't know that we needed all of those amazing Beatles songs. It wasn't a problem that we thought we had until we heard them, and they have now become such an important part of our history and what we know to be good music. The Beatles were likely able to create these amazing songs because they were paying attention to the smaller details and parts of our world that creative people tend to notice and pick up on, and then find this desire to put them together and bring you something that helps them to make sense of the world. And I just think that this is exactly what we need right now to tackle all of the big things that are going on. Problem solving is clearly the way of the future, and that is why I am excited to talk about a tool called Brilliant. Brilliant helps you to become a better thinker and problem solver. With thousands of visual interactive lessons in maths, science, programming, data analysis, and AI. Brilliant's courses are a robust tool for focused learning. Brilliant helps build your critical thinking skills through problem solving, not memorizing. Each course will help you to build a sharper mind, which is crucial to your creative practice, whilst also building a very healthy daily learning habit. Something I really enjoy and find interesting is looking at data and analyzing it, using it to help me interpret what people want from me, what they want to learn. But I really know that I could be doing a lot better job of this. Brilliant's data courses are a perfect way to start or continue learning data analysis, covering everything from basics like data visualizations to advanced topics like algorithms and regression models. I'm now developing more robust skills when it comes to interpreting more complex data, and this is an exciting new skill for me. Whatever your area of interest is, Brilliant has a range of topics. Whether you're learning to translate your ideas into code, build formulas, design circuits, run simulations with data, or explore cutting-edge topics like AI to better understand where our future is headed, then Brilliant is the tool you need. To try everything Brilliant has to offer for free for a full 30 days, visit brilliant.org/The Lucy Lumen Show, or scan the QR code on screen, or you can click the link in the description. You'll also get 20% off an annual premium subscription. Something else that Brian Eno touched on in this short read, What Art Does, is how we are all capable of creativity. And he specifically talks about watching children play and how they are so innately creative. And I can attest to this because I have a 4-year-old, and it feels like every single moment of his life is creative, and everything he stumbles across is a creative opportunity. I really think that our society is set up in a way that kind of breeds this creativity out of us. It feels like we start off as someone like what I'm explaining to you, my son, and I know that there have been studies done on this. And then as you get older, you kind of just feel like art or creativity or playing, doing anything kind of free like that is something that is frivolous or leisurely or only for a certain time, and it can't be a useful skill. I really think that if more creative people and artists could have input in the schooling system and how children learn, I think that we would be able to foster more creativity in adults then, and those adults would then be in jobs, and those adults would be attacking problems in a more creative way, and maybe our whole world would look completely different. If you think about what we do as creative people when we are building out a project or, creating a new piece of work, it's often to do with your imagination. You imagine something, whether it's a world or an idea or colors or a story, whatever it is, and you bring that together, you bring it into reality. And I think that's what we need to do when we think about how the world is structured. We need new, fresh ideas on how our society could be laid out and how we work, how we earn money, how we set up schools, all those types of things, because we've just hit this point where it feels like it's all kind of collapsing. And I think that art is a really positive thing that we can turn to, and the way creative people approach building out these worlds, if we could just pair that with other people who have skills that are maybe more rational, less idealistic, because we do need those kind of two things to come together to create something that works. We can't purely be based just in playing and creating. And I am not by any means saying that if artists around the world, everything would just be like rainbows and sunshine. Obviously not, because, the world has to keep turning. But I just think that this book opened up such a positive conversation about the future, and it also just happened to be centered around creativity and the value of it. I don't really hear that message very often. And I know that Brian Eno is a very progressive person, not just in art, but with other aspects of what he does. And I highly recommend this if you are somebody who is wanting to feel a little bit more positive about the world. And also if you're thinking about how your art can have a place and create change. Because I don't know about you, but I have been feeling very lackluster and kind of a little bit depressed sometimes when I think about where the world is headed and what's going to happen. And I have been thinking, what does one person creating something really mean? And I wouldn't want any artist to think that, because I think that if we all keep creating and making art and sort of putting it up on the global pin board, I guess, if you think about it like that, we're all creating and we're all pinning up our work and our thing, and we keep doing it, that will slowly spread across to more and more people, and hopefully invite more creativity, more artists to put themselves out there. And that will have a snowball effect that might change the world accumulatively. There's another passage here that really stood out to me that I want to read out to you quickly at the very end of the book, which really was my favorite part and where it all kind of came together for me. In whatever we are doing, we have to make it as though we are in that new world by making objects, systems, experiences, and collaborations that belong to that world. It comes into being. Live the world you want. What kind of world would that be for you? I feel like Brian Eno ends with such a wonderful invitation to the reader who is likely going to be a creative person or one that's interested in creativity and its place in the world to do something and to start. And it's such an inspiring way to round off all of the topics that he brings up. Being an artist has always been an act of courage, but especially right now when it can seem like there are such bigger issues out there. So I hope that this is the push that you need to keep creating and keep putting things out there, because it's definitely going to help. The more viewpoints and different types of creations from different people we can see, the more we can start those conversations. So I highly recommend picking up a copy of this book. I will link it and the article that I referenced below as well. And thank you so much to Brilliant for making today's video possible. Don't forget to check them out in the link in the description and grab that discount.